All right. This is September the 28th, 2013. On our calendar here in the United States, and on the Hebrew calendar, the 24th day, Tishri, 5774. For those of you who are wanting to spell Tishri, it's Tishrei, or sometimes Ri, depending on who's doing the transliteration. I've entitled my message today, "To Drink This Cup." As most of you know, last Sunday, my son was married to Stephanie Hughes. And I've got to stop calling her Stephanie Hughes. Yeah, that's right. When you get married, a lot of things change. Little practical things that you don't even think of until you're married. Like, especially for women. You know, they got to go through and get their driver's license changed and their checking account changed, and, you know, everything that had their former name on it has to be changed with the new name, and everything's new. That is very exciting. Well, and that's what is supposed to happen to us when we come to the Lord. Everything becomes new, and we got to change our name on everything, right? Because we're not the same person anymore. Anyway, Jewish wedding. During the Jewish wedding process, there are 3 cups that are consumed. Now, this is over a long period of time. This isn't in just a day, although in the modern wedding ceremony, 2 of those cups are drunk during the ceremony, because the ceremony has largely become symbolic of what the process would have been. Okay? The one cup that doesn't get talked about a whole lot is the first cup, the shidduchin cup. But all 3 cups are covenant cups. Okay? The first cup, shidduchin, actually occurs between the 2 men that represent the 2 families. This is in the marriage arrangement part of the process, which can actually happen quite early in the life of the soon-to-be groom and bride. This is actually the way that it used to be done. The 2 families would enter into a covenant agreement with one another that their children are going to be married when they get old enough. And so these 2 men would make a covenant with one another, and as part of that covenant, they would drink this cup called the shidduchin cup. So, how do you spell it? It's transliterated as Shidddukin, shidduchin. And this is the cup between the fathers, the arrangement. The second cup is the erusin, Eyrusin, the erusin cup. This is called the cup of acceptance or the cup of betrothal. For those of you who came for the first night of Sukkot, we kind of talked about this a little bit, but for those of you who are not able to come, I will reiterate what actually goes on here. Whether or not, now it wasn't in all cases that the Shidduchin cup was actually part of the process. Not all marriages within Judaism were arranged, contrary to popular belief. Okay? A lot of them were. Okay? And a lot of, even today, within the Orthodox community, they still arrange marriages. But not all of them are arranged. But the first cup that is common in every Jewish wedding is the Erosin cup, because this is the one where the cup is placed before the young lady and she has the choice as to whether or not she's going to drink from that cup. If she does not drink from the cup, that is a no to the young man. If she drinks from the cup, then she wants to marry him. Okay? Now, I will say this, as is the case with every human relationship, I am sure that there have been numerous situations where the parents of the two said to the young lady, no, you are going to drink from this cup. And they didn't give her a choice. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Okay? But I'm sure that went on more than one occasion. But in this particular case, once she takes that cup, then the fathers of the groom and the bride, they actually make a blood covenant where they take animals and they slaughter them and halve them. They cut them in half. And they lay the pieces out to where the blood from the animals pours down into a trough or a valley. And the two men, it's not, you would think, because the two young people are entering into covenant with one another, that they would be the ones that would walk through the blood. But instead, the two fathers walk through the blood on behalf of their children. And as they walk through the blood, they're specifically and purposely stomping in the blood so that it splatters all over them and all over everything. Okay? And the traditional method of doing this is to make a figure 8. So you walk around the animals and then through the trough of blood, around the other side of the animals and through the trough of blood. And as they are making their way through, in this figure 8 pattern, through the blood, they are verbally declaring out loud where everyone can hear them, if I do not fulfill this covenant, may it be done to me as what has been done to these animals. So it's a very serious thing. This is still done in some Middle Eastern cultures today. And so the fathers would take upon themselves the covenant responsibility of ensuring that their children keep to the covenant that has been made. The third cup is the Nisuin cup. It's transliterated as N-I-S-U-I-N. S-S-U-I-N. This is the cup of consummation, or the cup of marriage. So it's that final time when they come under the chuppah, they make their final vows, and then they go immediately into the honeymoon suite and consummate the marriage. You know, today in our weddings, we have a big long reception, and I don't know, Nathaniel and Stephanie, I've never known a couple to do what they did. Usually, as soon as the ceremony is over and as soon as they can get out of there, they load up their stuff, jump in the car, and they're gone. And everybody sees them off, and you know, you've got the rice and the whole, or whatever, bubbles or whatever it is that particular wedding does. Instead, they hung around, and they were almost the last ones to leave. But it didn't used to be that way. You didn't have the party and then the couple consummate. It used to be the couple got married under the chuppah, they went to consummate, and the people didn't have the party until the consummation was done. Until the evidence of the consummation was held up for everyone to see. Okay? And that was the role, that was the job of the friend of the bridegroom. He was to stand at the door of the wedding chamber and wait. And when the groom came to the door with the evidence of consummation, he would hold it up for everyone to see, and the party began. You know, we look at that and we go, ooh, gross. But that was extremely important, because it proved whether or not the young lady was truly a virgin before she got married. But all of these are covenant cups, and I'm going to address the first one and the last one, and then we're saving the second one for the end of my message, because it was really interesting. On the day of their wedding, God was talking to me about this particular message, and gave me this revelation that I had never had before. And I personally, I know that for those who really like traditional weddings and so on and so forth, maybe what Nathaniel and Stephanie did was a little strange and maybe not what people expected or liked. But we've gone through 2 years as Nathaniel's parents, knowing how everything developed, knowing that the things that they did held profound meaning and importance to them, and how they are fully entrenched in the idea that God has brought them together for the specific purpose of waging major war on the enemy. And so all of the swords being there and being part of the ceremony and all of that has very profound meaning. And it goes along with what I'm going to be sharing today. The first cup, the Shidduchin cup, we actually see, we don't see a physical cup. We don't even read about a cup being drunk. But we see the covenant that would have been part of that cup in the story of Avram and God making covenant with Avram. Avram, or Avraham, was the father of the bride. Let it sink in. God was the father of the groom. And to ensure that that covenant was kept without flaw, without fault, God put Avraham to sleep and represented Avraham. Let's take a look at Bereshit, Genesis chapter 15. Says sometime later, the word of Adonai came to Avram in a vision. Don't be afraid, Avram. I am your protector. Your reward will be very great. Avram replied, Adonai, God, what good will your gifts be to me if I continue childless? And Eliezer from Damascus inherits my possessions. You haven't given me a child. Avram continued, so someone born in my house will be my heir. But the word of Adonai came to him, this man will not be your heir, nor your heir, no, your heir will be a child from your own body. Then he brought him outside and said, look up at the sky and count the stars, if you can count them. Your descendants will be that many. He believed in Adonai, and he credited it to him as righteousness. Then he said to him, I am Adonai who brought you out from Ur Kasdim to give you this land as your possession. He replied, Adonai God, how am I to know that I will possess it? He answered, bring me a 3-year-old cow, a 3-year-old female goat, a 3-year-old ram, a dove, and a young pigeon. He brought him all these, cut the animals in two, and placed the pieces opposite each other, but he didn't cut the birds in half. Birds of prey swooped down on the carcasses, but Avram drove them away. As the sun was about to set, a deep sleep fell on Avram. Horror and great darkness came over him. Adonai said to Avram, know this for certain, your descendants will be foreigners in a land that is not theirs. They will be slaves and held in oppression for 400 years. But I will also judge that nation, the one that makes them slaves. Afterwards, they will leave with many possessions. As for you, you will join your ancestors in peace and be buried at a good old age. Only in the 4th generation will your descendants come back here, because only then will the Emori be ripe for punishment. After the sun had set and there was thick darkness, a smoking fire pot and a flaming torch appeared, which passed between these animal parts. That day Adonai made a covenant with Avram. I have given this land to your descendants. This is the bride price. Okay? From the Valley of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates River, the territory of the Keni, the Kenizi, the Kadmoni, the Hitti, the Perizi, the Rephaim, the Emori, the Canaani, the Girgashi, and the Yevusi. The land wasn't just so that the people of Israel would have a place to live. The land was God's bride price. That was His gift for the bride. Okay? And now let's skip ahead to the Nisuin. The Nisuin cup, if we're talking in spiritual terms, the Nisuin cup has not yet been drunk. Okay? It will be drunk when Yeshua comes again. And we read in Matthew chapter 26, verse 29. This is Yeshua speaking. He says, I tell you, I will not drink this fruit of the vine again until the day I drink new wine with you in my Father's kingdom. He's speaking of the Nisuin cup. This is when he makes his final vows with his bride, and the consummation comes. And then there's a party. And I guarantee you, you have never been to a party like that is going to be. But where I want to focus is on the Erosin cup. Because it's with the Erosin cup, even though after that cup is drunk by the young lady, offered by the young man and drunk by the young lady, and the young man goes away to prepare a place for his bride, hint, hint, so that when it's done, he can come back and receive her to himself, that where he is, she may be also. It's actually that cup that causes them to become echad, one. At that moment, they are betrothed. And the only way, even though they can't consummate until later, at that point in time, they are betrothed to one another. And it's not like being engaged here in the United States. The only way that you can, after the Erosin cup and after the ceremony of signing the ketubah and the two fathers walking through the blood, the only way for that to be dissolved is through a get, which is a decree of divorce. And so they actually become one to some extent at that moment when they drink the Erosin cup. And so, I want to go through a series of scriptures, knowing and understanding the wedding process. I want to go through some scriptures that are of Yeshua speaking and making statements. And I want you to look at these statements from the viewpoint of the wedding ceremony and the Erosin cup. First, let's flip back in the same book, Matthew, Matthew, chapter 20, verses 20 through 23. Then Zabdi's sons came to Yeshua with their mother. She bowed down, begging a favor from him. He said to her, "What do you want?" She replied, "Promise that when you become king, these two sons of mine may sit, one on your right and the other on your left." Let me stop right there. Obviously, this mother and her two sons are thinking in quite grand, glorious, romantic terms. Okay? They have no concept of what they're asking for. And he even says that in the next verse. Okay? But Yeshua answered, "You people don't know what you are asking. Can you drink the cup that I am about to drink?" They said to him, "We can." And again, they had no idea what they were saying they could do. He said to them, "Yes, you will drink my cup. But to sit on my right and my left is not mine to give. It is for those for whom my Father has prepared it." In this is the promise that they, being part of the bride, are going to drink of the Erosin cup. However, what's involved in drinking Yeshua's Erosin cup is not what is involved in a typical Erosin cup, because of what Yeshua is destined for, as opposed to a typical groom. And he says, you will drink of this cup because you're my bride. But what you're in for, what you're in store for, is not what you think. Chapter 26. Back to 26 where we were before. And the few verses before 29 that we read. 26 through 28. While they were eating, Yeshua took a piece of matzah, made the bracha, broke it, gave it to the Talmidim and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." This is in the midst of their Pesach Seder together. Also, he took a cup of wine, made the bracha, and gave it to them, saying, "All of you drink from it, for this is my blood, which ratifies the new covenant, my blood shed on behalf of many, so that they may have their sins forgiven." So this is a very different Erosine cup. If we look further down in the same chapter, verses 36 through 46, we read this. Then Yeshua went with his Talmidim to a place called Gat Shemanim, and said to them, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with him Kepha and Zabdi's two sons, the two guys that had asked if they could sit on either side of his throne. Grief and anguish came over him. By the way, don't let that be lost on you. Okay? Kepha, the reason why he chose Kepha to go is because Kepha was the leader of his Talmidim. It was his right to go. But why would he take the other two? He took the other two because they had asked if they could sit on either side of his throne, and he had asked them, "Can you drink of the cup that I'm about to drink?" And they said they could. Now, let's see whether they can. Grief and anguish came over him, and he said to them, "My heart is so filled with sadness that I could die. Remain here and stay awake with me." Going on a little farther, he fell on his face, praying, "My Father, if possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not what I want, but what you want." He returned to his Talmidim and found them sleeping. He said to Kepha, "Were you so weak that you couldn't stay awake with me for even an hour? Stay awake and pray that you will not be put to the test. The spirit indeed is eager, but human nature is weak." A second time he went off and prayed. Do you understand what Yeshua was saying to Kepha? He was saying, "Kepha, you are going to be drinking from the same cup that I'm going to drink from. You need to be praying for yourself that you are going to be able to handle what's coming." Okay? Just like I'm praying about what is coming for me, you need to be praying about what's coming for you. A second time he went off and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot pass away unless I drink it, let what you want be done." Again he returned and found them sleeping. Their eyes were so heavy. Leaving them again, he went off and prayed a third time, saying the same words. Then he came to the Talmidim and said, "For now, go on sleeping, take your rest. Look, the time has come for the Son of Man to be betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let's go. Here comes my betrayer." In other words, you better take your rest. If this is what you're going to do, you better get it now, because you're not going to get it later. Okay? Because my betrayer is on the way. And this whole thing is about to go down right now. These were the men who arrogantly stated that they could keep up with Yeshua. And yet they can't even stay awake to pray with Him. I want to flip over now to Yochanan, John, chapter 15. Verses 18 through 21. If the world hates you, understand that it hated me first. If you belonged to the world would have loved its own. But because you do not belong to the world, because you belong to me, because we have drunk the Erising cup together, and now you're my betrothed, okay? But because you do not belong to the world, on the contrary, I have picked you out of the world. Therefore the world hates you. We're echad. They hate me, they're going to hate you. Remember what I told you. A slave is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you too. If they kept my word, they will keep yours too. But they will do all this to you on my account, because they don't know the one who sent me. He was trying to give them warning, trying to give them an understanding of what was coming their way. They just could not fathom. They couldn't grasp what was coming. They just couldn't imagine it. In chapter 18, same book. Let's begin with verse 1, and we're going to read through 11. After Yeshua had said all this, he went out with his Talmidim across the stream that flows in winter through the Vadi Kidron to a spot where there was a grove of trees, and he and his Talmidim went into it. Now Yehuda, Bekriot, or Judas Iscariot, Now Yehuda, who was betraying him, also knew the place, because Yeshua had often met there with his Talmidim. So Yehuda went there, taking with him a detachment of Roman soldiers and some temple guards provided by the head Kohanim and the Perashim. They carried weapons, lanterns, and torches. Yeshua, who knew everything that was going to happen to him, went out and asked them, "Whom do you want?" "Yeshua from Nazareth," they answered. He said to them, "I am." Also standing with him was Yehuda, the one who was betraying him. When he said, "I am," they went backward from him and fell to the ground. So he inquired of them once more, "Whom do you want?" And they said, Yeshua from Nazareth. I told you, I am, answered Yeshua. So if I'm the one you want, let these others go. This happened so that what he had said might be fulfilled. I have not lost one of these you gave me. Then Shimon Kephar, Simon Peter, who had a sword, drew it and struck the slave of the Kohen Hagadol, the high priest, cutting off his right ear. The slave's name was Melech, or king. Yeshua said to Kephah, put your sword back in its scabbard. This is the cup the Father has given me. Am I not to drink it? And just previous, in this same passage, it says, and Yeshua, who knew everything that was going to happen to him, the point of this message is Yeshua asks all of us, are you able to drink this cup? Because if we are going to drink the cup, the Erosin cup, to become the bride of Messiah, it's not all peaches and cream. It's not a bed of roses. All the cliches that you can come up with, it would say that it's going to be nice. Instead, Yeshua said over and over that those who would come to Him and follow Him need to count the cost, because it's very costly. If they persecuted me, they will also persecute you, because they have not known the one who sent me. The life of a believer and follower of Yeshua, when we drink of that cup, what we're drinking is something very different than what we saw Nathaniel and Stephanie drink. We have not given this kind of message enough. Over the last 50, 60, 70 years in this nation. And I don't necessarily, there was a period of time where there was a big focus in this congregation on trying to help everybody understand what's coming, to get their heart and mind prepared for what is coming upon the earth and coming upon this nation. I don't have any desire to go back to that. However, you need to understand what has happened too often in this country, in the churches in this country, is when they present the concept of accepting Yeshua as your Lord, as your Savior. They talk about all the good things that are going to come as a result. They talk about how you'll get to escape hell and you'll get to go to heaven. And unfortunately, there's too many congregations. The idea that they try to get across is you just need to do your best to make it through this life so you can get to the afterlife. And there's no emphasis on the fact that you live right now in the kingdom of God. And there are kingdom expectations that have been placed on you. And there is a kingdom cost that you need to count before you say yes. And if you're not willing to pay the cost, then you don't need to drink from the cup. And that's just not declared very much anymore. All those who would live godly in Messiah Yeshua will suffer persecution. Period. And Yeshua never tried to sugarcoat it. He told the truth up front. I can think of the young man, the rich man, young man, who came to him and said, what do I need to do to have eternal life? Well, you need to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. Well, I do that. I keep all the commandments. Okay, well, if that's the case, then go sell everything that you have and give it to the poor and come follow me. Yeshua always made people count the cost to themselves of what it meant to follow Him. In our society here in the United States, we paint a picture that once you come to faith in Messiah Yeshua, you just got a pair of roller skates. And you're going to get to skate through life until you die, or until He comes back and takes you out of everything bad. And that is not what this says. We don't know when all of this is going to go down. We just know it is. And personally, I'm actually kind of shocked that it hasn't already. And it very much may be like the frog in the water, in the pot of water. It may be happening gradually is the reason why we're not seeing it. But whatever the case may be, everything that this book says is going to happen is going to happen. And so and it doesn't matter, I'm talking to those of you who know in your heart that you're redeemed. Okay? As well as those who are not sure. Whether it be watching on the YouTube or in this room. Every one of us, every day, has to count the cost of what it means to follow Him. Because it costs a lot. To us, it costs a lot. Because it means that the things that we want to do, we can't do. Just like Yeshua in the garden, He keeps saying, if it's possible that I don't have to drink this cup, please take it away from me, but the more important thing is that your will is done. And that's the attitude that we have to have as we go through life. Are you able to drink this cup? Let's pray. Abba, I pray that none of us will think more of ourselves than we ought. That we will not be like the sons of Zabdi, who very quickly responded, yes, we can drink the cup. Father, the truth of the matter is, so far in this nation, we really haven't had to drink much of that cup. But the day will come when we will. When we will have to drink it to the dregs. And Father, I don't know about anyone else in this room, but I know about me that when I look to the potential happenings of that time, all I can say is, Father, give me grace to be able to drink that cup. Because right now, as I sit here, I say yes, and I want to drink. But in that moment, I know flesh is weak. And so, Father, I pray for grace for everyone here. Whether the moment is for anyone here is sometime today, or tomorrow, or a week from now, a month from now, or years from now. Give us grace to drink from that cup. Father, we say yes to your Son as the groom. And we know, we understand that we have been made echad with Him. So may we be like the concept of the warrior bride that we have talked about and shared about. May we be echad with Yeshua in all things, in all aspects of His being, all aspects of what He goes through. May we stand by His side in faithfulness, wielding the sword, but also taking what is dished out. In Yeshua's name. Amen.
The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make His face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace. Yevarechek Adonai v'yishmarecha. Ya'er Adonai panav alecha v'chunecha. Isa Adonai panav alecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Yeshua Mishikenu, Adonenu, Tzidkenu, Yeshuatenu, Sar Shalom. In the name of Yeshua, our Messiah, our Lord, our righteousness, our salvation, the Prince of Peace. Amen.